Hello, good evening, and welcome back once again to In the Know, brought to you by the Racing Post and Coral, the final Monday of February, which means we are only a few hours away from March, which means we are only a couple of weeks away from the Cheltenham Festival. And that's what we're here to talk about tonight, and seemingly every night for the winter, pretty much. But we are getting ever closer to answering all the questions that have been posed over the last few weeks and months. And with a few more answers and a few more questions thrown up by the weekend's racing just a couple of days ago, we'll be looking back at a couple of big days for the little guys, the likes of Milton Harris, Chris Gordon and Christian Williams taking centre stage on Saturday. We'll be looking forward to whether anything from Doncaster, Kelso and Newbury can make a bit of a mark ahead of Cheltenham this Saturday. And we'll be focusing on 4 festival races: the Ryanair, the Triumph, the Mares and the Albert Bartlett as well. So get your questions in. This is live and interactive right now on YouTube and Facebook. We've got the chat box open right here in front of me, so any thoughts, feelings or opinions that you want to throw in on those races as the evening goes on, then they are more than welcomed. Like and subscribe to the stream, of course, as well on YouTube and Facebook. And hopefully we can try and decipher a few more form lines going forward towards the big 4 days. Now, fingers crossed, we'll also be joined by Philip Hobbs as well to discuss his chances at the festival. Just a few tech problems at the moment, but hopefully that will figure itself out, and we'll get to quiz Philip on some live chances in particular, of course, in the Stayers Hurdle. But first things first, let's see who we've got in the team for tonight. And once again, to my left, he had a couple of weeks off to get stuck into the Cheltenham preview book for the Racing Post, so he is well and truly ready and raring to go. It is the one and only Mr. Paul Keeley. Good evening to you, Keels.
Yeah, raring to go. 2 weeks studying Cheltenham Festival stuff, and obviously got my foot off the ball when it comes to the normal week-to-week stuff, and had a shocking weekend.
Yeah.
Very
that
painful.
Can happen, though. That's
very painful,
you're so laser focused on the festival.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think I gave it my best shot, but I came round to Zanza again, didn't I?
Yeah.
That's not happening. That's not happening again.
It will come around. It will come around.
He will win He will win as soon as I give up.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we've all got them. But you went to the track on Saturday, didn't you?
I did.
Nice to be back on the
thoroughly
course.
Enjoyed it. Yeah, I love going racing. It's been big days Saturdays. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm feeling a little bit fresh today.
I've recovered, if that's what you mean.
yeah, that's what I was asking. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's exactly what I was asking. Paul Kealy then in the studio to go through those races a little bit later on. We're joined on Skype by Graeme Rodway, who has evicted Tom Siegel from his house and taken his place. Graeme, good evening to you.
Good evening, Ross. How are you?
I'm very well. How was your weekend? Better than Keel's?
Yeah, it was pretty good actually. Yeah, which was typical because I was filling in for Keels the previous 2 weeks and couldn't pick my nose. But yeah, this weekend was all right.
Yeah, we'll discuss the vagaries of how well you do tipping when you're not publicly tipping. I'm not saying the pressure necessarily gets to you, Graeme, but it's a lot easier when nobody's watching, isn't it?
It sure is, Ross. Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
Okay, so Paul and Graeme, just going to check in with the gallery. Do we have our third guest? Not yet. Okay, very well. We'll come to that very shortly. So before we hopefully talk to Philip Hobbs, like I said, get in touch with us. The chat box is already ready and raring to go. I'm not entirely sure whether most of the people on the chat are actually listening to what we're saying, or if they just come on to argue amongst themselves. That's kind of half the fun, isn't it? We're 2 weeks away from Cheltenham. Daniel Brennan says Time Hill Stayers is my bet of the week, and he said that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9 times, 10 times. Keep going, Daniel. That copy and paste is working wonders for you. So we've got plenty of opinions already. Allaho wins banker material. John Bond, no chance. So they're flying out left, right and centre on the chat box already. But let's have a quick step back to have a look at the weekend. Keel, so you didn't have a particularly profitable one. But Milton Harris, like I said, Chris Gordon, Christian Williams. It's nice to see a few different names on the roll call, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the second time Chris Gordon's won the Dovecote. He won it a few years ago with Highway 101 of them.
102,
two, it was, yes. Yeah, Milton Harris, obviously, nice salute. I mean, what a horse. I mean, he just looked aggressive on the flat, went to Milton Harris, and now he looks totally progressive and just keeps on winning. Now, How good that form is another matter. But I mean, you can't knock a horse that keeps getting to the front at the right time and staying there, can you? Like, you know, I think he's, you know, we'll be talking about it later anyway. I think he's probably up against it against some of the Irish. But by the same token, you can't knock a horse that wins 5 in a spin.
No, you know, regardless of ground, track, you know, pretty much everything that's been thrown at him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
he said, "Sure, I could do that."
Yeah, he's done it, and he's beaten Porticello, who's the other,
Yeah.
you know, the other top British candidate.
And he's one of those horses that every time he wins a race, we've got, well, the second would have got closer if he'd have jumped, and the second would have done this, and the third would have done that.
Yeah, but he does it, and they don't. So,
exactly. Yeah.
You know, so yeah, no, they've done really, really well with the horse, and he's obviously very honest. You know, and he does travel.
Yeah.
You know, so you can certainly see him running well. I don't know whether he's quite got the class of some of the others, but that we shall have to wait and see.
But I mean, you've just got to go for it, though, haven't you?
Yeah, of course you have.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it shouldn't be going anywhere else. Put it that way.
No.
Yeah.
Graeme Rodway from home. Then what stood out for you for this weekend? Obviously, like I said, we had a couple of staying chases for Christian Williams. Chris Gordon had a couple of winners as well. We just mentioned Night Salute. Pic D'Orhy, of course, was pretty impressive the way he battled on any second now. Ikari Allen potentially over in Ireland as well.
Yeah, strangely, my best winner this weekend, Ross, was Ballyandy at Chepstow. He obviously won well at Fakenham on his first try over 3 miles. Always thought that sort of trip might suit him, and he went in again at Chepstow around about 4-1. But yeah, I stuck with Night Salute. I thought he really should have been odds on for that race going into it. I mean, he'd beaten pretty much all the horses in the race, hadn't he, bar Pleasant Man, and just. He's one of those horses, I think, that people always want to oppose. You know, you just think, oh, he's not that good. He's not flashy, is he? But he jumps well and he's tough and he really finishes his races strongly, don't he, Night Salute? I mean, I'm one of his biggest fans. Even I struggle to see him win in Triumph. But it's going to be very hard to kick him out of the frame, you thought.
Yeah, he's one of those. The Triumph often goes to a horse who kind of improves on the day that's a little bit fresh, that has, or in recent years anyway, only 1 or 2 runs. But you like to see Night Salutes just going to keep on grinding, and like I said, I think they would take a place behind some of the Irish hot pots, I'm sure.
Absolutely, yeah. I think if he could finish in the first 3 or 4, I'd be absolutely delighted, wouldn't he, Milton Harris? I do think that those Irish horses do look good, but we'll get on to that, won't we, Ross?
Yeah, we will indeed. We'll mention a quick word for Any Second Now, by the way, of course, who won for Ted Walsh at the weekend. If he wasn't owned by JP McManus, I'm not sure the National would even be on his radar, Keels, because he's a genuine graded performer.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
He was a bit unlucky in the at Aintree last year, and all systems go clearly. But if you can run him in anything, and he runs an absolute.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, he's a very, very consistent horse, isn't he? You know, and a multitude of trips as well. Yeah. You know, yeah, very, very decent horse. Yeah.
Of course, yeah. He's won over 2 miles, won over 3 miles. He won a Kinmure. He's probably could have won a national last year. But is there anything else out of the weekend that you'd be keeping an eye on? Or possibly even putting a line through?
I'm not sure. I thought Kitty's Light ran really well, went second to Cap du Nord, and he could go well again in. Well, I mean, I was talking to Christian Williams actually. I was watching the Ryanair Chase in the parade ring, and he came up to me afterwards and said, "There's only one price rise," because obviously Siegel had tipped with my wings and I hadn't.
That's always nice, isn't it, when you're not backing a winner all day?
We were chatting afterwards, and he's saying, you know, what am I going to run him in next? And obviously the Bet365 Gold Cup is the one at the end of the season, but it'd be the Midlands National or the Scottish National, depending on where the best ground is.
Well, if he's got Kitty's Light, Cap du Nord, Win My Wings, that's...
Yeah, that's right, yeah. I mean, you know, he basically threw all his best horses that weekend, because he hasn't got anything for Cheltenham, and he's come back with a winner and a first and a second. I mean, you can't do any better than that, can you? You know? Yeah, really, really, really good for the yard. And I think Kitty's Light is just running back into form again. And obviously... stays really, really well. I mean, he's still only very young, isn't he? You know what I mean? So,
do you think that kind of looking around at the death is inexperience, or is it? There's a little bit of a wandering
yeah, I mean, I think he tries his hardest. You've got to remember, he's still only 6, and he's running an absolute ton of 3-mile chases in his life. You know, but he seems to be back to his very best form. He just ran into an extremely well handicapped stablemate, remember, in Cap du Nord. So he's probably actually shot the lights out himself, but just managed to get beat by a horse he was £15 lower than when he ran in the race last year. Yeah. And obviously had good Kempton form as well, having been second to Royal Pagay at the Christmas meeting a couple of seasons ago, or last season, sorry. So yeah, I think you know, you know, he's not for Cheltenham obviously, but Kitty's Light I think will be a big player on decent ground in one of the other big staying handicaps at the end of the season.
Okay, very well. Anything else to add, Graeme? Just double checking with the producers. Any luck? No, thanks. Thanks.
That doesn't sound like it, does it?
No, it doesn't sound like it. No, it doesn't. Absolutely no message whatsoever from the producers there. The horse that caught my eye at Newcastle was Fonzarelli, who won the novice hurdle there. Remember a horse called Basford?
Basford?
Sorry, Graeme.
Basford, yeah.
Oh, Basford Ben, remember him?
The canvas horse you put up at Newbury.
Yeah, Basford ran in quite a hot bumper at Newbury a couple of weeks ago,
Right.
and quite fancied him at a price. But he finished down the field. But Fonzarelli had finished behind him, Carlisle, in one of his bumpers, and I don't think Basford's a bad horse at that kind of level up north. And Fonzarelli made a successful, not hurdles debut, but it was his first win over hurdles at Newcastle. The front two came well clear of the rest. I just thought he might have a decent handicap in him up north before the end of the season, Fonzarelli.
Okay, lovely stuff then. Fonzarelli, it is obviously be happy days if he wins. Anyway, let's. Unfortunately, we do not have Philip Hobbs tonight due to the vagaries of the internet. Of course, we can't quite get a stable connection to Philip, so we're not going to be able to talk to him. We can certainly talk about his runners in his absence. Maybe not Zanza, given Keels has pretty much bought that horse over the past few months, but we can certainly talk about his Cheltenham runners and Rodders. He's got potentially two live chances in the stayers, Time Hill and Sporting John if he goes, albeit JP McManus, of course, who owns Sporting John, loves a crack at a Pertemps, doesn't he? So is Time Hill good enough to win a stayers hurdle?
I think he's good enough for us. I'm not entirely convinced that he's a Cheltenham horse. I just always felt that some of his best form was on flatter tracks, really. But I know he did finish third, didn't he, in the Albert Bartlett there a couple of years ago. But he's been beaten a couple of times at Ascot, hasn't he, on stiff uphill finish, getting collared by Paisley Park when he looked like he couldn't possibly lose that race. I think he's good, but I don't think he's an absolutely outstanding 3-miler. And I'm not sure he's good enough to win a stayers hurdle at the top level, Ross.
Okay, yeah. It's hard. It's quite hard to work out how good he is, Keels, at Time Hill. He's, albeit very much seems to be kind of conditions dependent, good to soft or faster. He's first, second in really good events. So is it just that he hasn't necessarily had enough opportunities to rise to the top?
Yeah, it's quite possible. And decent ground will help. Like, you know, I think he just doesn't quite get home at Ascot when the ground is soft, and you know, that race is far more stamina sapping than the stayers hurdle.
Yeah.
So, you know, he's definitely a horse with a chance, I think, definitely.
And what about Sporting John? He's completely the opposite, of course. He relishes the test.
He's one of those horses I've never really warmed to.
Yeah.
You know, and to be fair to him, he's won twice this year now. He's won at Cheltenham, obviously, so proved that he could handle that.
Yeah.
And he won well at Warwick in a Pertemps qualifier. It depends on where they want to go with him. They've got Side of Burley as well for JP McManus, obviously not Philip Hobbs. So you'd think maybe they'll split them up. It could even be Side of Burley that goes for the Pertemps, tries to win it for a third time. So interesting. I think Sporting John's probably a little bit out of his class. When I saw that he was like best price 12 to 1, that, you know, doesn't really interest me, to be honest. I think he needs another £10 on it to find.
I guess he is one of the few horses in the field where we don't quite. He could find that. He hasn't had as many opportunities.
Yeah, he could do. He hasn't had the opportunities. And he was a Grade 1 winner over fences when he got it right the one time.
Yeah.
That he did get it right over fences. So he's obviously got some talent.
Okay.
But you know, there's stronger candidates for me anyway.
Yeah. As for the other Hobbs runners, Rodders, Celebre Dalen was impressive at Warwick recently. And I thought Camprond was very interesting. He's got some incredibly good. I mean, we've got a handicap obsessive to my left, so we'll get Keels' thoughts in a second. But obviously, Persian War's form looks really. The Persian War form looks really good. The Greatwood, of course, has thrown up winner after winner after winner. He's not been seen since November. Something in the back of my mind suggests that he's not been seen since November because he could have quite a bit of extra improvement off that mark.
Yeah, I backed him in that race at Cheltenham on the after the Persian War because I thought the Persian War he was very good. He ran well, didn't he? There was loads of money for him, wasn't it? Heavily gambled for the Greatwood he was in, and he just came up short, didn't he? But he's obviously going to go there with a big chance. The other one, Celeb Dalen. Yeah, I quite like him. Yeah, I think he's pretty good. He won at Warwick, didn't he, last time? He did it in a fairly decent time. Finished the race quite well. So I could see him running well. But you do get the feeling in these handicaps still, although we're going to find out, aren't we, when the weights come out, that the Irish horses might have a little bit more in hand than some of ours, especially the ones that are coming on there on the back of the wind. But we'll see.
Okay, well, you were nodding your head.
I was nodding my head at Comprond. Yeah, I think he's quite an interesting horse. He's obviously got some very decent form. I think he probably, if he runs in the Coral Cup, he probably wants that trip as well. He would do better. He made a couple of mistakes late on in what was a steadily enough Breakwood, and he was running on at the death, wasn't he? He'd won, albeit small field, he'd won 2.5 mile before that. Sleeper Dallin is a horse that I don't get. I mean, how is it that a 10-year-old who beat a 12-year-old last time out is favourite for a 24-runner Cheltenham Festival handicap chase? I mean, it's just...
Well, I mean,
I appreciate he's lightly raced, he's come from France and he won with a bit in hand last time, but he also came from the back. So, I mean, how many horses are going to be behind after 2 fences?
True, but how many horses come from the back at Warwick and actually make up any ground?
Well, yeah, I know. I mean, they probably went hard enough. I don't, listen, he did look good, but I mean, it just goes against the grain for a horse of that age. With that sort of form line to be favourite for a race.
Yeah.
Like, there have been 3 horses aged 10 and older of that race this century, and they were 16s, 25s and 66s.
Yeah.
And this one's as short as 9 to 2 in a place, I think. But, you know what I mean? And I think that's just plain daft.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, he's been heavily backed. Every single time he's run, they've backed him as if he's a grade one horse in handicap.
He obviously is a very useful horse, and he's come over with a decent mark.
And the owner does like a
well, yeah, they have a pop, and they've gone. They've won it a couple of times and gone close another time still. You're talking about your Salou, Flo, Moneter, and one other whose name I've forgotten. Ballynagore. Yeah, that's it. So I mean, it's obviously a race the owner likes to have a little smash at, and he's a decent enough horse. I mean, but I can't back a 10-year-old at that price in any race at Cheltenham, let alone a 24-runner handicap.
Yeah. Fair enough. Okay. All right. That's Philip Hobbs' chances discussed in the absence of Philip Hobbs. So, unfortunately, sorry we couldn't get you on a stable line there, Philip, but best of luck for Cheltenham. But Paul and Rod is joining us then in the company now of Simon Clare, who, I don't know, Simon, how good is your Philip Hobbs impression? Could you maybe step into the breach?
Not great. I imagine Philip Hobbs probably decided he didn't want to be interrogated about Zanza, so just did one of those, pulled the plug on his Wi-Fi and thought, sod that for a game of soldiers, But we're quoting a price of 3-1 on Philip Hobbs to train a winner at the Cheltenham Festival, which given Time Hill's 9-2, Sporting John I think it's a single-figure price if he runs in that race, and then you've got these other contenders. It's not a terrible price if you believe Hobbs could pull one out of the bag, but obviously he's got to beat the Irish, isn't it? We've actually got we came up with a special market on the Irish train winners for Cheltenham. 17 or fewer, 7-4. 18 to 20, 5-4. And if you think it's going to be another absolute greenwash, 21 or more, 9-4. So pick your bands. How bad is it going to be for the UK trained horses?
Well, I mean, the man that's talking here is Graeme Rodway, who I don't know if it's through sheer pig-headedness, but he's writing article after article. Every time we talk to him, he says it's not going to be an Irish bloodbath this year. Graeme, you think it might balance out a little bit?
Yeah, I do, Ross. Yeah, I think that the English and British will do a lot better than people think they will. And I see when Ruby Walsh said it the other day, nobody's batted an eyelid. But when I say it, everyone says, "Oh, what a load of rubbish he's speaking." So, but no, we've got some really good chances. The British going in there, and I'm not sure that what was it, under 17? Was it, Simon?
Yeah,
I'm not sure we'll get quite that
17 or
many.
fewer. 17.
I'm not sure. Not sure we'll get quite that many. That means we need 11, I think, doesn't it? Or 12, somewhere in that range.
11 or more.
I reckon just slightly above that. In what was the middle one? I'll have the
5 to 4 favourite, 18 to 20. So the British should have to get between 10 and 8. 8 and 10.
Yeah, I reckon we'll get 9.
There we go.
Yeah, I mean, it is always a possibility. It's just a massive outlier, isn't it? I mean, it happened last year, but the year before, going into the final day, the score was 11-9 with one French winner. So, and then obviously Gordon Elliott had his blinding day, and it ended up 17-10. So there's no reason for people to be completely defeatist about it. And it's amazing how many people are on Twitter. You mentioned horse. How can that beat the Irish? How can that beat the Irish? Well, they're all horses. There's some very, very good horses over here as well.
So there's a huge recency bias.
I have to say that I couldn't give a monkey's where a horse is trained by. Where a horse is trained when I'm having a bet.
Yeah.
So I don't want England to have more than Ireland or Britain to have more than Ireland. I don't want Ireland to have more than Britain. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? When I fancy a horse, it's because I fancy the horse.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Yeah, I mean,
Paul,
on Saturday, for example, we weren't backing against the Welsh-trained horses in the Coral Trophy, were we? You backed who you thought would win, and the next thing you know, you realise they had a 1, 2, 3. But
I think, Simon, that's because the Welsh horses aren't coming over and winning all the races.
Well, they did on Saturday.
There's been loads and loads of Irish horses come over this season, and they've gone off ludicrous prices, and most of them have got beat. Okay, they've still had some great successes, Fakir Du Dairy, Tornado Flyer, and whatever. But if you look at the record of Irish horses with big money races over here this season so far, not been so good. But it may all change with Cheltenham because everybody focuses on Cheltenham. We'll have to wait and see. But I mean, let's have not people hoisting the white flag already.
Yeah, but punters have very short memories, don't they?
Well, they do, yeah, exactly, yeah.
As we well know. But okay, right, let's crack on to the races then. We're going to have a look at tonight. 4 of them to discuss. Starting off with the Ryanair with an Irish banker. After all that, Allaho 4-6 for the Ryanair to follow up his demolition job last season. The next couple in pretty unlikely to line up actually. Enegamine 5-2 and Aplutard at 6-1, which means Conflated might well be the biggest danger to Allaho after his owner suggested that this might well be the target at 6-1. Shackleford Suarez 7-1. Janadil 8-1. Shan Blue is 8-1 as well. Fakir Dudari is 10-1, and it is bigger price as the rest. Doesn't matter where they're trained, Keels, but it does help if you train by Willie Mullins and you appear to be an absolute freak of nature like Allaho.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it looks like the best one. But you see all these horses that are entered in that aren't going to run. It always baffled me why they keep entering them. Now, I don't know how much it costs to pay, but apparently I'm told that if they're still in it the 5 days, or you get 6 owners' badges per entry. I don't know whether that's anything to do with it, but I mean, why enter horses that have got 0 prospects of running whatsoever? Why is Aplutar in the Ryanair? Well, even if Allaho comes out, it's not going to run in the Ryanair, is it? You know what I mean? It's just nonsense, but it's in there. I mean,
a lot of it is people hedging bets as if your weather forecast comes soon, it says that it's going to be torrential storms
but
on a Thursday night.
Shackleford Suarez is not going to run any. He's not going to run in the Ryanair either, is it? Complete nonsense. What's it doing in there?
So basically, we've got Allaho, we've got Conflated, we've got Janadil, Shamblu, Fakir Dudari. They're your 5, aren't they? Really?
Basically, yeah, and we don't know. Conflated could go for the Gold Cup.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see if he does. I think he probably will end up here because what's his name? Michael O'Leary was talking about that the other day, wasn't he? So
yeah.
So that's possible.
And he wants to win his money back.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure he needs to worry too much about money, to be fair. But no, Allaho's like head and shoulders, and he looks at least as good this year as he did last, didn't he?
Yeah.
Doesn't he? And I think Fakir Dudari's probably shot his bolt by winning that race at Ascot because that was an horrible ground and it was hard work, and he'll do well at the bounce. But he don't know. It's very true. He doesn't often run a bad race. But if he bounces back after that so soon, I'll be quite impressed, to be honest, because I thought he had a really hard race. If I was going to bet without, I might have a little tickle on Eldorado Allen, but he's another one. He might end up being supplemented for the Gold Cup because one of the part owners was talking about that. So we'll have to wait and see. I don't quite see him staying 3 mile 2, but it's just a horse who's improved all season.
So you can't quite work out. You don't know he won't stay that short, that's for sure. Because
no, you don't know. You don't know he won't
stay
that. But I mean, if they'd gone another 2 furlongs there, you'd have thought Royal Pagaille would have beat him 6 or 7 lengths in the end, wouldn't he? Because he was really closing on him. So I would be more inclined to go back because he does. He's a horse that does travel. He was obviously second to Shishkin in the Arkle last year, so he handles the track. I can't see him beating Allaho. Wouldn't surprise me if he beat everything else.
Okay. Graeme, Allaho then 4-6 here for the Ryanair. I was a big fan of him last year. I was hoping in my mind's eye that he would do exactly what he did last season and just grind them into submission from the front. Is there a possibility? The only thing I could kind of see with Allaho is I'm not saying he was a surprise last year, but obviously we didn't quite know he was going to look as good as he did. Jockeys, trainers are going to be a little bit cannier about what he can do from the front. Is there a possibility that he doesn't have that that surprise attack this season?
Probably not. No, I mean, if he turns up on last season's form, he's going to win, isn't he, Ross? If he turns up on his last time out form, he's probably going to win, Ross. He thrashed Fakadu Dairy by 12 lengths, didn't he? That one's obviously come out and won the Scott Chase, and he looks totally bomb-proof. The only reason for taking him on is that he looks absolutely bomb-proof. You know what I mean? He sort of looks too good to be true. You sort of sit there and go, you know, is it always that easy at Cheltenham to just turn up and reel off these Grade 1 races? It's not particularly, is it? No horse has ever retained this title, I don't think, that the Ryanair. I've probably not had one as good as Allaho, of course. You know, he's going to win if he turns up on his best form.
Did Albert, I can't know if he did he retain it or did he win it, come back and win it? Oh, he did retain it, yeah, didn't he? 2010, 2011, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And then he went down fighting to Riverside.
So you're talking rubbish again, Rodders. That's why you get criticised.
Yeah, Albert's won it 2 years on the bounce and then got beat on the line for the thread.
You wouldn't believe that I actually went and looked that up first as well.
Okay, Rodders. Well, do you want to change tack? Is there anything else? What about Janadil? I thought Janadil was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for the horses that can beat him, I wouldn't be convinced that Chamblou. I think is he more of a flat track horse? Maybe we're going to find out. I would say the two Irish horses against him are the obvious ones, and they conflated. I have a feeling that maybe that was his race last time, and we may not see him at that level again. But we'll see. Janadil obviously been beaten by Allaho, hasn't he? But he did get within a couple of lengths of him at Punchestown. So. Yeah, I mean, I don't fancy Allaho to get beat, really, apart from the fact that it looks too obvious.
Yeah, I think Janadil will be my angle in terms of without, or maybe to pop into each ways or place bets or whatever. I'm not saying he necessarily gave Allaho a race at Punchestown, but he is fairly unexposed at this. Obviously, battered Franco de Port fairly comfortably at Fairyhouse, with Conflated well behind him on that occasion as well. I think him and Fakir Duduris have a similar-ish profile. He didn't necessarily stay behind Galvin and Conflated last time out. So I think Janadil's going to be ridden to sneak into a place behind Allaho potentially. I think he's the one for me. I'm struggling to see him out of the frame if he lines up.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see him running well as well. I don't think he has stayed on his 2 attempts at 3 miles, and you know. Okay, Allaho left that form behind when he beat him 2 lengths on his next start when he slammed Fakir Duduris. But he's obviously, you know, he's only an 8-year-old and he does seem to run consistent races. So yeah, I can certainly see him being in there. You have to, you know, admire Dan Skelton's boldness with Chamblou, because he's a horse that, if he's as good as he looked at Weatherby, he would win any handicap you care to mention, from 2 mile 4 to 3 mile off his mark of 148.
Yeah.
Because the handicapper couldn't touch him because it was 3 out.
Yeah.
So I mean, he'd literally be a short price favourite for any of the handicaps here.
Yeah.
He would have been 6-4 for the Coral Trophy on Saturday. But instead, no, I'm coming to take on Allaho. That's pretty bold, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, and off a 138-day break as well. Not even give him a prep run.
Yeah, he mentioned. Well, obviously he was battered and bruised, so he did deliberately, you know, leave him alone.
But last year, a lot of Skelton's runners almost left their race in their prep, so he's done completely the opposite. This season.
Well, this is it. He said, I think he said recently that, you know, all bar one of his winners did not run in the same calendar year. So he's done that with Protector out for the Gold Cup. He's done it with Chamblou. He's done it with West Cork for the county hurdle. Yeah. Who obviously won the Greatwood. So this is his plan. I don't know, I'm no fan of not seeing good horses throughout the season. Just went for Cheltenham. But you know, it's Connection's choice. They pay the money. But it's just really bold to just come here and take on a horse, you know, rated, you know, in the mid 170s. Who's odds on, say, right, I'm not going to bother with any handicaps, I'm taking him on.
Yeah, I'm going to improve stone and a half and beat you, potentially.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Okay. Simon, the Ryanair then, Allaho will be in, anti-post bets left, right and centre. It's a weird one to bet here, because it's quite a hard race to work out just how many rivals are going to turn up and take him on.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, I've mentioned before on the Racing Post site, you go and use the cross function to always pull horses out you don't think you're going to run, and suddenly it starts to look a bit threadbare, doesn't it? And I mean, I think Paul mentioned one of the Friday shows that what a grueling ground it was at Ascot, and quite a lot of the horses from that Ascot Chase are coming, are prominent in the betting. The likes of obviously Fakir Dudare, but even Mr. Fisher, Fanyan Destraval, Dashel Drasher, St Calvados, and you sort of think, all of them had really hard races. So you don't necessarily feel they'll attract huge support. So, Allaho, we got an in the know special 9-4 to win by over 4.5 lengths. So basically by 5 lengths or more, which given his his quality and his running style is not inconceivable. He could absolutely destroy them. But Eldorado Allen will run here. I'm almost certain of it. They did. In the aftermath of the Denman, there was a remark about maybe we'll go for the Gold Cup. I think Joe Tizzano was at home, quickly rang his dad and said, "What are you talking about? The logical play is, that was a flat track 3 mile, run to suit, come back and trip to the Ryanair on a stiffer track where he's run really well over 2 miles," as Paul said. And I think, again, it was probably 1 to 5. I was going to mention something with the Tizzards tonight, but he does look one of the horses who looks like he might have the right profile and the right sort of form coming into it to be an each-way play. But I can't see him beating Allaho unless something was to happen to Allaho during the race or something. So
he could, though. He could really spoil Allaho's rhythm early on, though.
The trouble is, any horse trying to spoil Allaho's rhythm early on, we may well be sacrificing our own chance. We sort of saw that with Chamblou last year in the Marsh, where Harry went quite hard on Chamblou, and it kind of, who wants to be the horse to try and take on? I mean, Allaho's last year, they all fell away, didn't they? Anything which was close to him was burnt off, and it's a tricky one to think who would be brave enough to kind of go at him, because you might be setting up someone else anyway. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see.
Okay, well, guys, I think we did exceptionally well to talk about a race we all think the 4 to 6 shot's going to win. So beautifully done there. But hard to take Allaho on. Apart from the fact that you just always want to take on a 4 to 6 shot at Cheltenham, don't you? So,
yeah, I'll end up betting something else each way. Yeah. It's just the way I play.
Which is what is it? What's top of the tree?
Eldorado Allen from Janadil for me. Those two.
Okay. Yeah, I think like I said, Janadil might well be in the each ways or the place bets, or certainly in the. Trying to nick a bit from that, Graeme?
Yeah, I mean, I think Allaho will probably win, won't he, Ross? But, if I was betting each way, probably be with Janadil as well. I'd probably be a bit shorter than he is now on the day, do you think? A lot of these won't run, will they?
Yeah, very true. Okay, then, the Ryanair Chase, Allaho is a 4 to 6 shot. Don't forget that price boost for him to win by, was it 4.5 lengths, I think it was?
Over 4.5, so effectively by 5 lengths or more, really.
Yeah. So, and given that he did it by 12 last year, I think it was, wasn't it? It could well happen twice. But people at home, favourites can get beat. Things can change next month, says Mark Smith. Exactly. Yeah, he's not done and dusted. That's for sure. And we've finally got someone says that's not a bad price boost on the comments. Look at that. It must be good.
Better cut it. Cut the price.
Well, when it goes off at 2 to 5 against only 5 rivals on the day, it might look quite nice, mightn't it?
Exactly. As we move on from the Ryanair then on the Thursday to the first race on the last day of the Cheltenham Festival, it is of course the Triumph Hurdle, and the Irish once again look to have a very strong hand. So sure, we don't care where they're trained, but it certainly does seem that Leopardstown form is going to play a huge part in this race on day 4. And Vauban is 15 to 8 favourite to beat old rival Pied Piper at 9 to 4, Fiddle Door 5 to 1, Dr. Parnassus for the Skelton team is 10 to 1, Porticello for Gary Moore is 10 to 1 as well. Corey Allen, who won cosily at the weekend, is 12s. Night Salute, who also won well at the weekend, is 14s. Von Il Ete Tomp at 14 to 1 for the Mullins team as well. And then bigger prices the rest. I'll come to you first, Graeme, for this one. Last year's Triumph, we get kind of 2 Triumphs, don't we, often? We get the ones where you've got 20 horses all chancing their hand, and half of them have shown a similar level of form. And we get a bit like last year, where your Calixioses and your Zanahirs were coming into it off the back of superior levels of quality. It seems a bit more towards the latter this season. Obviously, Vauban, Pied Piper and Fildor, although defeated behind Vauban last time out, was a triple winner before that. So really strong hand for the Irish at the top of the betting.
Yeah, Ross, which is a bit of a shame, because I thought this was one of the races that we might be able to nick the British. I keep calling us we, but when I mean me, I mean the royal we, obviously, because I keep getting told off saying, oh well, we're published in Britain and Ireland. Well, yeah, we are, but the royal we is from Britain, of course, you know. So, yeah, I mean, I would have liked to have seen Britain carry this off with Porticello or Night Salute. And I thought we had a really good chance of doing so until, well, a couple of weeks ago when Pied Piper won at Cheltenham by an absolute mile. And then, of course, Vauban came out and thrashed Phil Dorr in the race at Leopardstown, and I just thought that day that I'd seen something very special from Vauban. I thought that the way he went through that race was absolutely scintillating, and the way that he quickened up in the final 2 furlongs just blew me away. I think we're looking at a superstar here in Vauban. He's my banker of the week. I don't see him being beat. He should have beaten Pied Piper first time out. He made a right mistake at the last and was coming right back at him at the line. And then last time out, he improved significantly. I mean, we got him going up £10 on RPRs. He absolutely thrashed Phil Dorr. And before that race, Gordon Elliott was very, very bullish about how good he thought Phil Dorr was. Phil Dorr thrashed the rest. Of course, Cardell finished 5th. He came out and won the other day hard on the steel. I just think that's a really strong race, that Leopardstown race. I like the way they finished. I'm actually half tempted to back this horse for the champion hurdle next season. I think he's that good. I think he'll win this, and I think he'll go on to be a real top-class hurdler, Vauban.
Okay, Vauban then. Strong words from Rodders about Vauban. Strong words that are unlikely to be disagreed by Mr. Paul Keeley to my left, or at least very much in hope and expectation, as you've been banging on about him for a few weeks.
Well, yeah, I tend not to get as carried away as things like that. I mean, there were so many false dawns with 4-year-olds, wasn't there, and triumph winners, etc. Like, you know, but if you listen to Willie Mullins talk about him, I mean, he thinks he's special as well, doesn't he? You know, he's not your normal triumph horse. I mean, he said he was even thinking about keeping him as a novice next year because, you know, so many good prizes to be won, and he'd probably been lining up as favourite for the Supreme next year. But he said they've got on with it, and yeah, he looked very good, didn't he? Like, you know, I mean, I think he's obviously very, very decent. Like I said, he you know, although Gordon Elliott said Pied Piper needed the run when they met first time, and Mullins came out and said, well, I barely trained him because I wanted to keep him as a novice. Yeah. Like, you know, so yeah, I think we might see a very, very good 4-year-old. We'll have to wait and see, but I think they're probably head and shoulders above what's on offer in Britain, and yeah, I can't get too excited about it. I think both Porticello and Night Salute are very, very honest. Yeah, they're in your countrywide flame mode. I'll say you're tough stayer. But I mean, even, you know, when he won it, he was 33s, wasn't he? You know, I mean, these two are 12, 14. We're not going to get a big field, and I think it'll be just one of the sexy ones that'll win it. And I think Vauban is absolutely in pole position.
Okay, there you go. Vauban is a 15-8 shot. Yeah, you get the Night Salutes of this world. Potentially, these 6'4" strikers almost that you're popping it up and they just keep doing what they're doing, but they might be able to get something a little bit classier. Although, we'll just have a quick word for Phil Dorr. I didn't particularly rate the form of Phil Dorr's previous runs until going to Leopardstown. And I know Vauban left the horse for dead, but obviously it was a big advantage to be swinging wide and challenging down the centre of the track at Leopardstown. Phil Dorr was down that rail for the vast majority of the way. Also had to do the donkey work, and the winner and the third were closing at the death as well. Keels, is there a potential that we're underrated? Vauban was so visually impressive that we're underrating how well Phil Dorr ran?
It's possible. I don't see it myself. I will say that Gordon Elliott's 2 previous Triumph Hurdle winners got beaten that race and then came back and turned the form over. So it is possible. One of them he beat the winner of Willie Mullins, Mr. Adjudicator, I think it was. Farclas beat Mr. Adjudicator. So, you know, it's been done before, but I thought both of those, the other one was Tiger Roll, obviously, both of those had their excuses at Leopardstown. I think you're clutching at straws to think he really had one. I think he was well held.
Well, given the fact that I think Farclas has got is my national horse this year.
And mine too.
We'll wait 3 or 4 years for Phil Dorr to turn up at Aintree then, basically.
Absolutely.
Okay, Vauban 15-8 then. Pied Piper 9-4. Phil Dorr is 5-1. We haven't mentioned Dr. Parnassus, so we haven't really talked about Icar LN, who I know was well beaten behind Vauban, but unlikely to line up here. Would have an unbelievable chance in the Boodles, I think. But Graeme Rodway thinks Vauban is potentially the second coming Simon Clare, which means that 15-8 could look a cracking prize.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think, when you compare some of the odds-on favourites, if you believe in Vauban, you're getting a sort of a decent price. I mean, Pied Piper 9 to 4, 15 to 8 Vauban. Vauban looks the sexier. Particularly look at Pied Piper. I know he beat it in a canter, but Mocha Devassi and Isio were disappointing on Saturday, so you could start to kind of pick it apart a little bit. But this is one race where I know you sort of look at the sort of the Irish domination, etc. But over the years, the last 10 years, we've had a 33-1 winner, 20-1, 12-1, 10-1, and that's in a period when there have been smaller field triumphs, not like the old cavalry chargers. And there's been 4 UK train winners, 6 Irish. Adagio was second last year. I know Calixios was a good winner, but Adagio had that kind of Porticello type profile in terms of coming out the Chepstow finale. So, and this isn't patriotic punting, Graeme, but I do believe that Porticello and Knight Salute are bigger prices almost because of that perceived Irish superiority. And I just think both of them are hard. The fact they both had 4 or 5 runs of Knight Salute, 4 runs of Porticello, they're really experienced, tough horses, I think. And that we don't know what the ground's going to be come Friday, but I'd be half tempted to back them both each way against maybe the flashier, less exposed types from Ireland, patriotically.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, again, given that how short Goshen went off and Tritonic last year, and horses like Calypto for Paul Nicholls a few years ago as well. There does seem to be the fact that it's Milton Harris training Knight Salute. I think probably does have quite a bit of impact on that price, Simon.
Yeah, it did. I obviously we sponsored the Adonis on Saturday. I actually thought he to win at Cheltenham the way he's done, then to win at Kempton, very different tracks. I know Teddy Blue, the Gamble horse, might have beaten him, but as Paul said, he finds a way to win almost whatever the tracks, whatever the ground, and I like that about him. I think he's been turned around from his platform. And I'm obviously an Irish passport holder, so I don't know why I'm talking about patriotically backing the UK trained horses anyway. But I suppose there's a part of me just wanting it to be a fairer fight this year. I mean, the In the Know special is 2-1, an English trained winner from 7-4, which isn't the reason I've actually talked up Porticello. I'm going to be considered. I'm trying to drive people into our In the Know special, but we sponsor the Adonis, we sponsor the finale hurdle at Chepstow. I'd like to see those 2 races represented well by Porticello and Knight Salute.
Okay, very well. Vauban then 15-8 favourite, but an English train winner of the Triumph Hurdle 2-1 out from 7-4. And just a quick word for a few. Knight Salute and Phil Daw are my Triumph hopeful, says Kieran Caddison. PK Racing, Ilate Tomp, not out of it. Yeah, bearing in mind, Vauban looked good, but that horse is making its debut for Connections, coming from the back, finishing 3rd in that good race. Definitely has a shout. Mark Smith agrees. Ilate Tomp is the best value in the Triumph Hurdle, will improve from that run at Leopardstown. And I cannot understand the price this horse is. It is a fair point. I mean, 14-1. Ilate Tomp. All it needs is another 7 or 8 pounds of improvement, and it's right in the mix, which is definitely in the reckoning for the Mullins trained runner. So the Triumph then, Graeme. I don't think I have to ask you what you think is going to win, but I will do.
Yeah, I'm with Vauban, Ross. Ilate Tomp ran a very eye-catching race behind Vauban, and he's definitely also a big future, but I don't think he's good enough to beat Vauban.
Okay, very well. Mr. Paul Keeley?
Yeah, no room for patriotism in punting, and it's got to be Vauban all the way.
Yeah, I feel you should get that on a T-shirt.
It's absolutely true.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's no room for it. It's head over heart all the way, isn't it? Vauban 50-8. I think he probably will win, but I think if I can get Phil Daw with 3 places at 5-1, 6-1, and I know that there's only going to be 8 or 9 lining up, I think Phil Daw might well be in the each way. Simon, what about you?
Yeah, I'm definitely with Porticello and Knight Salute, both each way. We'll probably get. I mean, it's one of those. Would you back Antipost to wait for extra place on the day? It depends on the number of runners, I suppose, which there might not be. But
yeah,
those would be my 2.
I think it's too tough to call this year, isn't it? A bit. Okay, from the Triumph then, from 2 Mile Juveniles, we are way up in trip for one of the most gruelling races of the week at the festival. It is the Albert Bartlett, of course, registered as the Spa. But it's been potatoes all the way for quite a few years, hasn't it? Manila Crooner then 7-2 favourite here for this novice hurdle. Hillcrest 4-1, Ginto 9-2, Manila Kakuna 5-1. Going to be a lot of people badly writing names on slips, isn't there, over the course of this race, hoping to cash in on the 2. Journey with Me 6-1, 8-1 Hollow Games, Chantreurs 9-1, The Nice Guy at 10-1, and bigger prices the rest then here at Cheltenham for the Albert Bartlett. And again, the betting pretty much dominated by Irish horses. Only one British horse on that list of 8 runners for the Albert Bartlett here, Keels, albeit that is Hillcrest. If it wasn't for a bit of a, say, a soft on-seed at Cheltenham, but certainly unlucky on-seed at Cheltenham, this horse would be coming into this pretty much proven in every single conditions, probably unbeaten.
I mean, he'd have won that. The way he won he won the other day at Haydock. I mean, that was his.
So why isn't he favourite?
Well, he should be.
But he isn't.
He
so
what? Well, that's the. I don't know. I mean,
it's because he's trained in Britain. It's because he's trained in Britain. That's why.
Yeah.
Everyone's saying in this race that the Irish are so strong in the novice hurdles that how is that going to beat the Irish? Like you said earlier, Kills, and that is why Hillcrest.
I think
is not.
I think a lot of the Irish horses have looked incredibly slow.
Yeah.
Which
isn't a bad thing for this race.
No, it's not. But Hillcrest hasn't.
No.
And he had the time boy was very impressed at Haydock last time, and he just, I mean, I actually fancied Green Book against him, but they went hammer and tongs, and Green Book finished out the back of the TV, didn't he? Just couldn't live with him, and he's ended up winning quite comfortably. If they come here, he's still talking about missing it and going to Aintree. Makes it a little bit different, But this is one of the hardest races. I mean, more often than not. It's a complete boil-over result, isn't it? I mean, you get all these horses that have been plodding around fields, and and you know what it's like to racing in Ireland. Trials to the front. You know what I mean? You don't get many proper races, so they're not battle-hardened enough. And what you've got is a bunch of slow-maturing future stayers, and quite often the race is won by somebody with a bit more experience and is a bit tougher. Hillcrest has got that experience, I think. Now he looks quite tough. He's the one to beat. But I would back Bardenstown Lad because he's had loads of runs and he looks tough and he wants decent ground. And I would have a couple of quid at a big price of Ballygriffin Cottage for Dan Scott. I just find it quite interesting. A horse. I mean, his experience comes from points. He unseated first, but he won 3 on the spin, and it's just quite interesting that on his debut over hurdles, he sent him to the Grade 2 race against Blazing Carl, and he's actually won really well. He's only been beaten 6 lengths.
He was the horse when we were previewing. Someone emailed in and said, "This is the bet you've got to bet. I'm absolutely guaranteed that this is going to run a race." And we kind of laughed about it.
Yeah.
And then you watch it back, and he ran a blinder.
And he ran an absolute blinder, and then he just won easily enough over 2 miles 7 on heavy at Lingfield last time. So I think he might go well at a big price if he's allowed to run. But if Hillcrest runs, I think he's the one that with more class than the rest of the Irish at the head of the betting. Okay.
Manila Kakuna, of course, Hollow Games, Graeme, have all met at Leopardstown. We know the Dublin Racing Festival form is pretty much an ideal springboard to the festival. Is there any chance that form could be turned around? Of course, the winner pretty much made all the running. I'm not going to say it was messy in behind, but it's going to be a very different proposition at Cheltenham, much bigger field, of course, and can anything in behind turn the form around?
I think Manila Crooner will reverse that form. Yeah, he made a mistake. He was slow anyway at the second last. Dropped him back from like 2nd to 5th, and then he stormed home to finish 2nd to Manila Kakuna. So I would expect Manila Crooner to reverse those places, and I think that if you're back in the Irish form, then he's the one for you. But I'm not entirely sure that is the right race here to be concentrating on. I think if Hillcrest was trained by Willie Mullins or Gordon Elliott and had won a couple of graded races in Ireland, it'd be 6-4 because he was absolutely awesome at Haydock. I fancied a horse against him at Haydock called High Stakes, who took him on for the lead and ended up. Well, he was beaten after a circuit trying to take him on. The other horse who took him on was Green Book. He ended up pulled up, yet Hillcrest just kept on relentlessly galloping. He's a really exciting prospect, whether he wants heavy ground. I know he acts on better ground, but he looked really good on heavy at Haydock. But I'm really concerned that Keel's been reading my notes because I literally was going to tip 2 horses in this race, and it's the same 2 that Keels has tipped, which is absolutely incredible considering the prices of them. But to my eye, they both look like absolutely perfect horses for this race. Bardenstown Lad is just the sort of horse who wins an Albert Bartlett, isn't he? He's got loads of ones by his name, loads of experience, tough and genuine. Came home really strongly at Musselburgh last time. If the ground comes up good, Barden sound like that's going to run a huge race, and I was going to throw in Ballygriffin Cottage at a huge price. As I say, I tipped and backed high stakes to beat Hillcrest at Haydock, as I thought the Lingfield form that Ballygriffin Cottage, the Lingfield race that Ballygriffin Cottage beat high stakes. I thought that was decent form. So high stakes, I don't think ran his race that day. He was beaten after a circuit, like I say, for some reason or the other. Maybe he had a hard race on heavy ground at Lingfield and didn't show his best. But Ballygriffin Cottage has only had 2 runs. He had good form in points. Dan Skelton bringing him in there. He seems quite bullish about him in his stable tour, Ballygriffin Cottage. And I thought he was a good bet each way. If the ground came up soft, I thought he had a huge chance. So, yeah, amazingly, I fancied the same 2 that Keels fancies, and we didn't discuss it before the show.
Remarkable scenes, absolutely remarkable scenes. The stars have aligned with Graeme Rodway and Paul Kealy. Then for the Albert Bartlett, Manila Crooner 7-2 favourites. I'm going to just throw one more in. Quick question, quick shout out to Mark Smith, by the way, who sent this in. He says, "Hi Ross, I'm on Staghorn for the Albert Bartlett anti-post, and Archie Watson seems confident the step up in trip to 3 miles will suit him. Of course, a thorough stayer on the flat and an all-the-way winner at Warwick last time out, and certainly galloping them into submission. Hasn't been the worst angle in this race. Vanillier, of course, Miller Indo wasn't too far away a few years ago. Just a quick shout out. I'd like a price on Eric Bloodaxe, please, Mr. Clare. Joseph O'Brien's runner here, proper slogger, won at Limerick in heavy ground over practically 3 miles. The same race that threw up last year's winner, if I remember rightly. Beat Fernie Hollow on his debut in a bumper. Everything went wrong at Leopardstown last time out, but I mean, he's an Albert Bartlett horse. He's just going to keep grinding and grinding and grinding.
Yeah, he's a 25-1 chance. Ballygriffin Cottage is a 20-1 chance. Bardenstown Lad a 14-1 chance. I think we're asking all the right questions here. I mean, if you look at the last 10 years, 50-1 winner, 2 33-1 winners, a 16, 2 14s, an 11-1. You know, it's obviously going to be the year now that the favourite wins. But I mean, it's definitely worth, and clearly we're trying to sort of second guess, who may be on the lineup on the day. We think that, but even on the day, looking at those price winners, it's worth having a look down the list and trying to make the case for the most logical outsider. I think Staghorn and Falconet are both interesting horses, and I'll have to go and do the proper research. To me, the Albert Bartlett isn't the race where normally you get these flashy, highly rated horses off the flat going for it, and we've got 2 here. Staghorn, I think, was at 103 rated, ran at Royal Ascot, ran 4th behind Stradivarius. I thought he was impressive at Warwick. He's definitely going to run his 12-1. And Falconet, I know he wasn't very impressive at third as he got beat first time out, but Dermot Weld is a great trainer. And this is also won the Chester Cup in May off 104 on good to soft ground. You've got to be a pretty tough horse. And this trip for both of them, based on their platform, you think could be right up their street. But then I do tend to be seduced by the highly rated flat horses coming into the novice hurdle brigade. What I would also say is, because it's on Gold Cup Day, and this is the biggest betting day of the year, effectively, outside of Grand National Day, the Albert Bartlett is one of the biggest betting races of the year. It's one of in the top 10, including all the flat races, the Derby, etc. And so it's actually a bigger betting race than the Supreme or the Ballymore. So although they may be considered the classy novice hurdles, by virtue of being on Gold Cup Day, this is a far bigger impact on bookies' fortunes.
It's also often an absolute place pot buster as well on the Friday, which is great news. Keel, sir, Albert Bartlett, tips, please.
I mean, I like Hillcrest, but each way prices was Bardenstown Lad and Ballygriffin Cottage.
Okay, and Graeme, just replay that.
Yeah, at the risk of sounding like I'm copying Keels, it's the same 2. Yeah, Bardenstown Lad and Ballygriffin Cottage.
Okay, I'll go with Eric Bloodaxe on a decent race at a big price. And Simon, I believe you got a price boost?
Yes, I have actually. Yeah, Staghorn and Falconate for me, and it's 2-1. Gordon Elliott to train the winner of the Albert Bartlett. He's got Ginto, Manila Crooner, Hollow Games, and Where It All Began. So we don't really know, I suppose, how many of them will run. But if they're all to run, then that 2-1 looked very generous.
Okay, well, I hope Ginto wins the Ballymore, so I hope he doesn't turn up. But 2-1 out from 7-4, Gordon Elliott to train the winner of the Albert Bartlett. Last race we're going to look at then tonight is the Close Brothers Mares Hurdle, which we have potentially one of Favourite horses of the week coming up in the shape of Tell Me Something Girl, 11-4, Concertista 4-1, Stormy Island 5-1, Royal Kahala at 5-1, Burning Victory 7s, Queensbrook 7s, Echoes in Rain 8s, Heaven Help Us at 8, and bigger prices the rest. Albeit this could be a really hot little renewal of the Mares' Hurdle, Keels. Tell Me Something Girl is 11-4 favourite, but Concertista obviously loves it round here. Stormy Island's been revitalised. That Royal Kahala form is looking really strong. Burning Victory was back to her best. Heaven Help Us, of course, did us a bit of a favour last year as well. But the way the favourite came home to win the Mares' Novice, I thought was remarkable. And she had no chance behind Royal Kahala last time out. Every race that day at Leopardstown was a front runner's benefit. And she came from last to third, and I thought that was a cracking prep.
Yeah, it was a good run. You've still got a favourite that hasn't won this year.
Yes, true.
So she's not exactly unbeatable, but when you look at what is going to run, Concertista's one of the favourites for the Chase, for the Mares' Chase. Royal Kahala won't go anywhere near Cheltenham unless the ground bottomless. And Burning Victory, who's the mare I like. We don't know where she's going to go. She's got Martin Pipe, Coral Cup, Stayers Hurdle. I will back her wherever she runs, and hopefully it's in this race. It'd be the easiest one for her. Just think, Willie Mullins, he teased her into form on the flat by winning handicaps in France, believe it or not. Mm-hmm. And then she finished second in the Says to Buzz. She was giving him £2. Now, Buzz would have been one of the favourites for the Stayers Hurdle. Obviously, you've got to transfer that form over, and she's taken her time to do it. But, again, he teased her into form. She ran a career best last time. She's going in there in the form of her life. And I think she will run a big race wherever she wants. She obviously won the Triumph Hurdle. Now, yes, it was lucky because Gosham was 10 lengths clear when doing what he did at the last. But when you look at the form of that race, the other horses in it, she still beat Aspire Tower and All Mankind. Mm. It turned out to be a remarkably good horse, and she came from the back and beat them. So she got course form as well. And if you told me that she was running today, I think 8-1 each way was a massive price.
Yeah, and the way she obviously. I know Gosham fell, but she was rattling up that hill. She didn't look like she was going to finish second, never mind win it.
Yeah, exactly. She'll definitely stay.
2.5
does
should
stay.
Be spot
on.
Perfect. Yeah. She's the. I might have to have a saver on her because I can see her being up there. Tell Me Something Girl coming, and it's whether one goes past the other in the closing stages for the Mares' Hurdle. Then, Rodders, what did you make of this? Like plenty of the races we talked about tonight, there's quite a few runners might not turn up. Are there any that you thought were solid at the prices?
Tell Me Something Girl. It's like one of the slowest finishes of the whole festival last year. They went quite hard in that race, and they Magic Days went a good pace throughout, and she stayed on really powerfully up the hill. I think she probably wants a real good pace, which she might well get. There's a few front runners in it, aren't there? One thing that hit me about this race, a lot of those at the top of the market haven't really got that much recent form, have they? Tell Me Something Girl hasn't run since Christmas. Concertista, of course, has had a strange season, hasn't run since Christmas, been over fences. Who knows whether she's going to come back. Stormy Island hasn't been seen since New Year. And I do like recent form. Which one did Kills tip again?
Burning Victory. You copying me?
Yeah, I thought the line of form to follow was the most recent one, which was at Punchestown in the Grade 3 Mares' Hurdle there, where Burning Victory beat Queensbrook. I thought it was worth backing both Burning Victory and Queensbrook because Burning Victory over hurdles has looked a bit dodgy at her hurdles, and I thought she was benefited by the fact there was only 5 runners in that race. She got an easy lead, she got a good clear sight of her hurdles, and she jumped better as a result. Now this is obviously going to be a much bigger field, and who knows whether she's going to be able to get the same pace set up, really. There's going to be more competition here. On the counter argument, of course, she did finish second to Buzz in the 32 runner Cesarewitch on the flat though, so she does go in big fields. It's just whether she's good enough to jump well enough around there with a big field. But Queensbrook, who was second to her, was closing her all the way down to the line. Before the race, Gordon Elliott was hugely... he wasn't that confident about her chances. He kept saying, Queensbrook, she's very difficult to train. She's quite a hard horse to get fit. She'll definitely need the run. I think she'll come on bundles for the run. Yet Queensbrook was closing Burning Victory down right to the line and shaped like she would really improve for it. After the race, Gordon Elliott said... Yeah, she's very hard to get fit. We might even have to run her in a couple of schooling races round Punchestown or Ferryhouse or somewhere and before to make sure that she's 100% fit. But reading the stable tours, Queensbrook is going here rather than the Coral Cup, which is was also on the agenda. And I think that Queensbrook definitely won't have any problems with a bigger field. I mean, she's won a maiden hurdle with double figure field. So, yeah, I mean, similar to Kills, really. Burning Victory and Queensbrook, I was going to back them both.
Okay, there we go. On the mares hurdle, I'll go with Tell Me Something Girl. And just a quick shout out again, might have a decent price for Finest Evermore as well, Simon, who was another one who wasn't given much of a chance behind Royal Kahala, but could be a little bit interesting. Unexposed 6-year-old for Willie Mullins. But what's the story of this race, and do you have a price boost up your sleeve?
Yeah, we do. 16-1 Finest Evermore, and actually, Handley, it's another Willie Mullins runner. He's got plenty of them. With the price boost is Willie Mullins to train the winner of this race, 5-4 from Evans. He's obviously got Concertista, Stormy Island, Burning Victory, potentially Echoes in Rain, Finest Evermore, and he has won 9 of the last 13 of these contests, albeit 6 of them were obviously with Quevega. But it's insane. I think it's the first top 11 in the betting are all Irish, and then you get to Martello Sky, Marie's Rock, and LA Bell, may not even run in this race. So this is definitely one of those where I think it's hard not to see a tricolour being waved in the winner's enclosure after the race.
Yeah, I mean, we started the show by saying it wouldn't be an absolute Irish benefit, and so far in every race, the markets are completely dominated by Irish horses. Doesn't mean they're going to win, of course, but
it's going to be the case, isn't it? Because Ireland, because they've done so well.
Yeah.
If you're going to back all the Irish, you are going to be paying a premium.
Yeah.
It's simple as that.
Yeah, so you can't, as a bookmaker, you can't sit there and go, well, fingers crossed this year doesn't work out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, what's the bet here, Kills?
What race were we on about? Burning Victory.
Burning Victory it is. Graeme?
Yeah, I'm with Burning Victory and Queensbrook.
Okay, very well. Tell Me Something Girl will hopefully run a huge race for the Bromhead team. Simon?
I mean, I might chuck a few quid at Heaven Help Us. I mean, I've never seen a horse win the Coral Cup in the way she did, and she hasn't run to that form this season. But not everything's been sort of. She's running funny races. She ran so well at Cheltenham. I think she might just run a big race again.
Okay, very well. Right, that's pretty much the races done and dusted that we're going to look at the festival for tonight's show. But we'll just have a quick glance at the weekend. It's a bit of a weird weekend, Keels. We've got Kelso, we've got Newbury, we've got Doncaster. They're the good races in their own right, but bearing in mind this is looking forward to the festival, as it were. The Premier, the Mole Battle. At Kelso, the Premier Hurdle and the Premier Chase, of course. The Grimthorpe at Doncaster. The Newbury cards are a funny one. I think we'll get some decent horses there. I guess there are a couple of races at Kelso. Of course, the Moor Battle was won by Simon Sigg, the Shunter.
The Shunter, yeah.
We Have a Dream.
Last year. Yeah. So, I mean, there's some decent horses. I mean, the Moor Battle wasn't the valuable handicap it is now when Simon Sigg won it, but it was last year. Obviously, we could get Bouverdare running. I think Nicky Henderson said he was going on there. But, I mean, the one that was of immediate interest for me was Balco Coastal from the same yard, if you knew he was going to run. Obviously, he got a mark of 134. We had a look earlier on. He would have got in last year's county hurdle with 134, so he doesn't need to be winning this. But by the same token, it's a good prize. And when he ran last time, it was over 2.5. On the initial anti-post betting, it was he was the same price as Hillcrest. So that's sort of how well he was regarded. He did drift, Hillcrest shortened, but Hillcrest is rated 148 now. Balco Coastal gets here off 134, and he simply just didn't quite stay at Cheltenham when he got beat by North Lodge, and I don't think that form's bad anyway. So yeah, in a lightly raced 6-year-old novice carrying 10 stone 7, I think he'll have to go very close.
Of course, North Lodge is entered in the Premier Hurdle as well, so he could turn up for Alan King. As is Richmond Lake, who finished second to John Bon last time out. So, Rodders, you'll be hoping that one gets beaten out of sight.
Yeah, absolutely. Good risk at all to finish behind John Bon, hadn't he? And then he came out and won on the bridle a couple of weeks ago. I was starting to get my knees knocking a little bit, but I quite like Current Mood in that race. She's a decent amount. No match for Blazing Cow a couple of times around Cheltenham over further. But they dropped her back in trip last time out, and she beat also King of the West, who came out and won at Exeter last week. I thought she was quite interesting. It was interesting the other day. Evan Williams was saying that he feels his horses are not quite firing the same way that they were, but he is a bit like that, isn't he, Evan? He's a bit pessimistic.
Yeah, that's fair enough. It's best to be pessimistic as a trainer, I feel. Simon, what have you got? Any anti-post markets for the weekend, or anything to look forward to from your angle?
I think the Great Wood's always a good race. I mean, I sort of had a second look at Glen Forster. Paul, you tipped him up at Musselburgh, got back on a roll. He's only £5 higher. Probably with Newbury, that trip would suit, wouldn't it?
Oh, Father
Glen Forster?
Oh, Glen Forster, sorry, at Newbury, yeah. He's got a chance. I've not had a monster look at that race yet. I got sucked in.
Glen Forster, isn't he in the Veterans? He's not in the... Oh, he is in the Great
No,
Wood.
he's the Great Wood.
He's in the Great Wood, yeah. I got sucked into looking at the Veterans and decided Dingo Dollar was a good thing.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I never quite got round to it.
I thought we were looking at that race off air,
yeah. No, I thought Glen Forster. Charlie Longson's quite good when he gets those older horses back into form. They always sort of carry on running well. And only £5 higher. Thought he might go well again.
Okay, very well. Right, that just about wraps it up for tonight's show. But before we go, we've talked about 4 races. We talked about plenty of other horses as well. What would our pundits back from tonight's show? Let's go on off with Paul Keeley. Any horse we've mentioned tonight, what are you backing?
Yeah, but I think Burning Victory, I want to back her wherever she runs. I mean, if she runs in the Stayers Hurdle, I'll have to back her even though she'll be an outsider, but I think she's going to run a big race wherever she goes.
Okay, there we go. What about you, Graeme Rodway?
Vauban's my bet of the week, Ross. So I'll be disappointed if Vauban doesn't win, and I'll be following that form as well going into the festival. If any of those in behind running the Boodles, I'll be on those. I think the Tide Turns was quite interesting. I think that's what the horse was called to finish fourth, something like that. But I like that Vauban form.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on Ben Siegel as well for a very similar profile to last year's Boodles winner. Tell Me Something Girl for me, or Janadil without Allaho to hit the frame, I think, in the Ryanair, but I'm hoping Tell Me Something Girl runs a big race in the mares. What about you, Simon?
I think Dermot Wells still a great trainer. He's targeting Falcon 8 at the Albert Bartlett, 104 rated flat horse. I think he might go very well at 14-1.
Okay, there you go. Job done. Thank you to everyone to watching. Just see if anyone's mentioned anything on the chat. They're arguing about Gaelic Warrior, of course. Who's the horse? Quick angle in Gaelic Warrior?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Gaelic Warrior is if it'd been handicapped last year, it'd be £10 higher. But the handicap has changed. Apparently, changed the way they look at French handicap horses. The French horses are all rated in kilos. So the BHA handicap produces a multiply by 2 by 2, and that's it pounds, and it would have come out 139. So they've decided on 129 for Gaelic Warrior. Whether that turns out to be a great mark or ridiculous, I do not know, but the 2 horses that finished either side of him on his last run at Auteuil finished first and second in their top grade 1 race in November, and on the old way of handicapping would now be rated 165 and 156.
And you used to just be able to back French imports in the Boodles blind,
exactly,
pretty much, didn't you?
Exactly. So there's every chance the horse is absolutely lobbed in. It's not like he's gone to a Mickey Mouse outfit either, because it's Richie Mullins. And once he got 129, he was guaranteed short price favourite.
And a nice line through Vauban as well, I'm sure.
I'm sure they know exactly where they stand with him.
Yeah. Okay, that's it then for In the Know tonight. Unfortunately, like I said, we didn't manage to get Philip Hobbs on, but we've covered pretty much every other base fart tonight. And if you've watched it, please like and subscribe to the stream. Thank you for getting involved. And if you want to subscribe to the Members Club as well, we've got a little bit of an offer for you at £9.99 for your first month. As we gear up for the Cheltenham Festival there in a little over 2 weeks' time. So the blood is starting to pump, the temperature's starting to rise, so it's a good time to take advantage of that Members Club offer. We'll be back next Monday, Simon, I do believe. Will you be in the studio?
I'm coming into the studio next Monday, definitely, yeah. I enjoyed it last week, so I'll be back.
Lovely stuff. And Rodders, any plans?
To come in? I love a trip into the studio every now and again, but I think we've got Tom Park coming in next week, Ross. Obviously, he's publishing the big Racing Post Cheltenham Guide this week, and he's editing that, so I think he's coming in to talk all our viewers through it next Monday.
Lovely stuff. And Keel, thanks ever so much.
Yeah, that means I get the day off.
There you go. Job done. You can go and play golf.
I will do. I played this morning.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can play next week as well if you like. Thanks to everyone for watching at home. We'll be back next Monday. Enjoy your week, and we will see you in 7 days' time. Good night.